right, we're back with Eric Eaks, Director of Fine Arts for College Station ISD. We're going to talk about chain of command. I just want people to understand, and when you're teaching, you're a newer teacher or even an experienced teacher, you're going to have struggles, you're going to have questions, but it's important to understand chain of command because the higher up you are on the chain of command, like I guess the more people that you have underneath you. Like how many fine arts teachers do you have underneath you right now?
So in our district, we have 73 fine arts teachers.
That's a lot. Mm-hmm. So I imagine if there's 73 people that are always in your office bugging you about stuff, like that would probably drive you crazy. So maybe before talking to you or going straight to your fine arts director, who should they have talked to first?
Yeah, well, I think largely that would probably depend on the question or the potential issue that you might be having. But probably my best advice would be to just start at the macro level first. So like if you are teaching at a high school or if you're teaching at a middle school, you're more than likely going to have some sort of a department chair. Perhaps maybe start there with them, just get their thoughts, get their insight. If it is something that is much more campus based, for sure, start with your department chair, then perhaps maybe your AP principal, on up to your head principal. If it's something that's a little bit more fine arts based, that might be more for the district level, certainly talk to me. Yes, and that's absolutely what we're here for. But oftentimes people will just have a problem or have an issue and they'll go to the very, very top as quick as they can. And the issue with that is sometimes their voice may not always be heard because they've skipped over so many steps, but they're also missing the opportunity to also gain a little bit of knowledge about processes or anything like that by jumping over so many steps. Probably 8 times out of 10, things can be addressed and handled perhaps either with your department head, with your campus administration, or perhaps your fine arts admin too. But just start at the smallest level possible.
You're starting off, you have an issue that came up, or you have something that you can't solve on your own. Mm-hmm. You start with your department chair or your direct report, your assistant principal, whatever, and they don't know how to help you. Mm-hmm. They say, okay, so then it sort of like escalates either to your campus principal or to you, to the fine arts director.
Yeah, I would say largely that is accurate. If there is potentially an issue that either your department chair can't handle, maybe your campus admin can't handle, then yes, they would probably refer you to either me or perhaps somebody else at the central office level, and that's perfectly fine. But the good thing about that is that you're trying to solve the problems, I guess, as locally as you possibly can. But yes, there are going to be things like where your campus AP principal or campus head principal may not be able to actually solve. And so it would be time to bring in somebody else. And that's all fine because you're showing, that you're understanding process, you're understanding, and you're showing that you're trying to just solve everything, solve any issue as locally as you possibly can.
Okay. And then let's say it does escalate, and is it your responsibility to come and loop in your direct report, or is that something that you would do, is address that at the campus level?
Yeah, I mean that one's kind of a harder one to answer because really it's just going to depend on potentially what the issue is. So I think with something like that, you're really just going to have to handle it kind of on a case by case basis because it's not necessarily going to be a one size fits all thing.
Let's go even higher up the chain of command. Superintendent. When should you go into the superintendent's office and bug your superintendent?
I would probably say almost never, because usually if there is any sort of an issue, you've tried as best as possible to go through the chain of command, whether it's the department head, your campus admin, your other central office admin. If those folks aren't able to help you, typically those folks would then be the ones that might try to bring something to the superintendent. But again, it just depends on what the situation is, and it would probably just need to be handled, on a case by case basis. It would just depend on what it is. But the individual teacher going right to the superintendent, yeah, that's typically something that's just not done, because 8 times out of 10 something can be solved well before it gets to that level.
And I guess same question, but then as it relates to the school board, like anybody can go up and speak at a school board meeting. Like that's your First Amendment right. It's a public forum, but speaking as a teacher, should you do that? I mean, parents come up and they express their grievances all the time to the school board, but should that be your time as a teacher to express a grievance or something like that with the district?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like you said, everybody has that right. And so, yes, everybody has that right. But I think it's probably a better path to try to visit with campus admin or even district level admin first. I think showing due diligence, and I think trying to follow a logical chain of command, I think is really important, because usually within that chain you're going to get to an understanding of whatever the issue is, so.